Your 30s are likely the most important time in your life for your money, because the financial decisions you make in your 30s set the course for your entire remaining life and likely determine whether you will live in prosperity later on or not. And that is why you should not make 5 mistakes regarding your money in your 30s, and in this video, we show you how to avoid them. I'm Saidi from Finance Tip. Have fun. If we can also help you avoid such financial mistakes and you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, then do that and also hit the bell below. Before we get to the 5 mistakes, let's first talk about mistake number 0, namely, not having a plan for your money yet. Sure, when it comes to money, it's like many things. The earlier you deal with it, the better. However, in your early years, you most likely do not have as much money yet, so you are unable to make as many mistakes. In your 30s, you will generally be earning decent money, and more money naturally means more opportunities, but also more chances to make mistakes and potentially mess things up. One error can be simply allowing time to pass by, because in your 30s, it's not just about building the right knowledge, but also about cultivating the right mindset when it comes to money. In other words, managing your money wisely and establishing good routines will ultimately have an impact over decades, allowing you to build a substantial wealth over time, thanks to the compound interest effect, and thereby achieve the corresponding prosperity. Mistake number 1. Too much risk, too little security. Many people in their younger years are more willing to take risks, even when it comes to money. And that's okay and good, but it's about not taking too much risk and then potentially having to learn a lot from it. If you invest in a risky investment in your 20s, it may be annoying, but it will likely lead to something good, namely that you learn from it. But in your 30s, experimenting should come to a bit of an end. Naturally, especially with larger sums, you should not engage in too much speculation anymore and protect yourself from significant losses. You will quickly find yourself in a situation where you probably have larger financial obligations. That can be the family, that can be a car, that can be your own house, and you just have to make sure that you can really meet these financial obligations. That means it's just difficult when there's a repair needed at the house or when a car part needs replacement and you're not liquid enough to pay for it. As boring as emergency funds in the savings account or maintenance reserves for the property may be, they are also important, and if necessary, you may need to reduce risk significantly from your other investments. Mistake number 2, lifestyle inflation. When you have more money, earn more, suddenly things come into perspective that were previously quite unthinkable. Restaurants that are expensive, clothing of higher quality, trips that are bigger, or even cars that are larger. If you try something now to treat yourselves, there's little to speak against it. The danger is more that it becomes a habit, a routine, and that you actually end up living somewhat beyond your means. Ultimately, you must be careful that your lifestyle inflation does not exceed your income growth. In other words, with each increase in income, you should also increase your savings rate. Your 30s are ultimately the crucial time to find the right balance between these two things, lifestyle and saving. Certainly, you should be able to enhance your life's comfort and enjoyment. However, you just need to determine for yourselves the things that genuinely contribute additional value to your life. And especially when you have children on the way, then it's an even more difficult decision. When you ask yourselves how much of your money you can spend to buy something nice, it can be ensured primarily by always prioritizing saving from the beginning. For example, that at the beginning of the month you have paid yourself first with your ETF savings plan, your standing order on the savings account. Mistake number 3, missing opportunities to increase your income. Your 30s are the most important time for you to increase your income. Now, higher salary jumps are possible than ever before in your life. Why? Because you already have work experience, because you are older and therefore taken more seriously as a negotiator, for example, with your employer, and on the other hand, you still have many years of work ahead. That means it's also worthwhile for your employer to invest in you. On the other hand, your 30s are also the best time for you to become self-employed. With your existing experience, you have market knowledge to some extent, and you also possess the required energy and agility to be self-employed and establish yourself in the market. Your 30s are without a doubt an opportune moment to reflect on your career and also contemplate the possibility of making a change. Because you still have enough time to plan and implement a corresponding change in your career. Because you still have many years ahead of you for refinancing, for example. So my message is, please do not rest on your laurels now. Mistake number 4, postponing the decision to purchase or lease. Essentially, both options can be financially attractive and beneficial for you. Either purchase your own house, possess property, or continue renting and invest in stock exchange traded funds. But at some point, the time has come for you to commit to one path or another, and that time is at the latest in your 30s. Because now in your 30s, you can much better anticipate where the path of your income is going, how much you can afford, how much wealth you can realistically build, in other words, how much property you can afford. And at the same time, you can probably already plan a little better whether owning a property really fits your lifestyle. And at the same time, in your 30s, you still have enough time to pay off such a property and also with enough buffer so that you're not still stuck with a mortgage payment in retirement. Alternatively, if you choose to rent permanently in your 30s, you no longer need to have potential equity in a savings or time deposit account with low interest rates, but can invest larger portions of it, potentially tens of thousands of euros, lucratively in stock exchange traded funds, ETFs, for long-term retirement savings. So the mistake could primarily be not committing, not knowing if the next property is just around the corner, and then having your saved wealth sitting at interest rates that are not really higher than the inflation rate or even lower than the inflation rate of the economy. This way, you could lose 10 years for building your wealth. It's great if you're already investing several hundred euros per month in an ETF savings plan, but it's also about maybe a few tens of thousands of euros that are poorly invested somewhere on a savings account. Because without the exchange-traded fund, your retirement savings might be tight in the end. Mistake number 5, failing to eliminate bad financial habits. Nearly every individual possesses one or more negative habits, including detrimental financial habits. These can be cigarettes, too much alcohol, or even drugs. It can be that you always feel the need to buy only the most expensive and newest things. The newest smartphone, a new car, or pricey household appliances. Or maybe you're dissatisfied with your career path and keep pursuing different further education options, which are costly and don't really bring much benefit. Or, of course, you are actually living beyond your means by repeatedly taking out loans for consumption stories. For example, because you can afford to travel too expensively, probably one or the other habit is also totally clear to you. But now in your 30s is really the time to get rid of that. You earn more, you have a higher net worth, so there's also more responsibility, and most importantly, there's still enough time to work that off. Because the longer such habits become deeply ingrained in your lifetime, the more difficult it is to eliminate them. My tip on this, try taking a habit and change it, at least temporarily. Don't buy the latest iPhone or refrain from taking out a corresponding loan, and then celebrate accordingly. Observe the money you have saved as a genuine victory for yourselves. Then the probability increases for you that you will do it right again at the next opportunity. Have you recognized yourself in one or more of these mistakes? Do you make these mistakes or do you make other mistakes in your 30s? And what valuable tips can you give to other people in the community in their 30s? Write in YouTube comments. I'm anticipating comments, discussion. Until next video, yours truly, Saidi.